Welcome everybody to the Rally Cry podcast. I am your host, Angel Rios, and I just want to let you guys know before we get into the episode how much I appreciate you guys. If you're listening while you're driving, while you're cleaning, or maybe you're watching on YouTube, I just truly appreciate you because we come here so that we can grow, right? So we can have an understand a perspective, and reframe our life so that we can live it better, right? Sometimes we go through so many things and we kind of doubt ourselves. And I feel like sometimes it's something that I experience. And along with that, I'm glad that we're able to talk together and have awesome guests come on the podcast, especially like quite frequently. And today we have someone very special today. And it's funny how we met. We met actually at Wilbert's leadership luncheon.
Yeah.
And we were talking all about holistic approaches. And when we get into those kinds of conversation, for myself, I can talk all day about it. And I feel like it was one of those things, right? We went to talk about it a little bit more. And I definitely want to highlight everything that she does. And then I want to make sure I say your name right. It's Andrea Bailey. Yes, Andrea Bailey. And she has a whole holistic approach with how she works with clients and help them go over adversity. So before we get into everything, I know we had a little bit behind the scenes and we're doing some card matching, I would say. I would like to break the ice with you as well, because she already broke the ice with me. She came in with her own cards and I was like, oh, hold up, okay. And I definitely want to share what those cards were entailing as well. So with the Enough Said card game, I'm going to grab my deck right here, and then essentially it's like destining you, right? So I'm going to kind of shuffle out my hand and you're going to pick out a card that resonates with you.
Okay.
And then we'll break the ice from there.
All right, sounds good.
And if you have not got your communication card game, you can do so in the link below, wherever it is, even if it's on Instagram, and break the ice with people.
All right, let me go over here.
All right, what does that say?
Would you rather be feared or loved? Explain. Okay, so it's interesting because fear to me brings up that there's something going on with ourselves from an experience that we've had in the past that's been informing our current vision, right? It's like, so it's not that I want people to fear me. I would love if they loved me, but at the same time, it's like I'm drawn to the people that are fearing, because it's like, what's blocking you from being able to be a part of this moment where you can feel some love?
Right. That's very interesting. No, I think I can agree with that, because what happens is that so many past experiences, we kind of resent that, and we probably put too much trauma on ourselves, right? Like we hold on to it, we don't let it go, and we kind of carry that with us and think that we now need to be feared because of that fear that we used to have from whatever that past experience was. So that is definitely true. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't necessarily want to be feared, right?
Right.
Like I understand why some people might want to be feared a little bit because there is some balance to it, but maybe not the fear of like I don't want someone to fear me.
Right.
But maybe the other way you would say it will be at least scared to a point where, of course they wouldn't want to hurt me.
Right.
If anything, more careful rather than fearful.
Yeah.
But I would rather be loved.
Yeah,
to be
for
honest.
sure.
Yeah, I'd rather be loved. Love me. I love love.
Yeah, same. But yeah, I'm like, the interesting piece about the fear part too is like fear is based in anxiety, right? That that's based in that primal brain, that fight, flight, freeze kind of aspect. And it's like, what's arising within you that you feel fear?
Right.
And so how can you then check back into that parasympathetic nervous system and be like, oh, I need to breathe, I need to rest, I need to digest, I need to
Yeah,
that I can
breathe.
be present and then get to know you. Because sometimes we're also set up with our social conditioning that that then brings in, I fear you because I don't know you, because you're different, because that challenges my concepts. But once I get to know you, I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing.
Right. And what happens is because a lot of people judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
And that's what makes it where we hold ourselves away from the potentiality of connecting with someone that might even elevate us, right? And that all goes with frequency, the way that we think for ourselves, because I think frequency is based on how you can be level-headed to a point where you can understand when you're allowing to connect. When there's will, there's way.
Absolutely.
That's foreshadowing something right now, but that is so true, and that's enough said.
Absolutely.
That's enough said. Yeah, that's awesome.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, appreciate you. Now that we broke the ice with that, I definitely want to talk about the cards that you brought up. So first, tell me, what were these cards? So we got
So I brought the Sacred Creator Oracle deck.
Okay.
And then by Chris Ann. And then I also brought the Raise Your Vibration Oracle deck by Kyle Gary.
Those are so dope.
Gray. I always say Gary, but it's Gray.
Wow.
And
Okay.
so I shuffled them up while we were just kind of getting settled in and chatting. And the first card I pulled was Sacred from the Sacred Creator deck,
Mm-hmm.
and that was Celebrate Your Win.
Mm.
And so to me, that really means that, take the moment to breathe in all the work that you do, to reflect on the things that you're connecting with, the things that you're creating in life,
Yeah.
um, take in a moment just to be thankful that you woke up,
Mm-hmm.
and then that you set your intention and that you worked for it and that you achieved it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and that could be anything. It'd be like, I made dinner without burning it, right? Somebody that's their goal for the day. They're learning to cook, and then other people are like, I rocked that new interview and I think I landed that job. And then other people are out creating podcasts and
Mm.
like getting information out in the world, or creating new programs, or connecting in a relationship that's been a little off, right? Like, so it's celebrating anything that you feel is your win.
Mm.
And that just like, and as we're coming into this creative space, it's like, oh, we both have a lot of wins in life,
Yeah.
and like getting to these places and having these conversations and expanding it outward. It's like this in itself is a win.
Yeah.
This is
No,
really cool.
and I appreciate you for that. And as we were talking before, it was funny to say that it coincides with many of the things that was kind of already happening with me. Like I
Mm.
was just having a conversation about, feeling like I'm doubting myself because I'm not celebrating enough of those
Mhm.
wins. When I have one win, I'm just, okay, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
And not taking that moment to kind of step back and think about, okay, well, what should I celebrate?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that we don't know how to do, right? So, what would you say is one thing that you are grateful to celebrate right now?
This year's been a big year already, and it's only
Yeah.
February.
Yeah, right, right. I felt that. I felt that. Yeah.
I'm like, there's so many more months to come, and I'm so excited for them. One huge win is that I've been on like a first time guest on another friend's podcast. So that was
Nice.
just super fun. And being here is a win for me. I'm getting ready to go to the Boston Outdoor Expo, and depending on when this is launching, that's March 1st and 2nd. So
That sounds
I
fun.
will either have already done that and have rocked it, or I am just getting ready for it and I'm feeling amazing about being there and doing my thing. It'll be my second time speaking there, which is really cool.
Nice. And you said it's
And
Boston
yeah,
Expo? What is that about?
so it's the Boston Outdoor Expo and Run Show this year. They're combining two of them together. It's at the Boston Seaport
Okay.
Convention Center,
Okay.
and it's a huge vendor show, and they're gonna have like skills training. They
Really?
have like RVs and like mini campers and like tons of things like samples and stuff yeah,
What?
it's
And you're gonna be a speaker
amazing.
there.
Yeah, yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was
I
a
gotta know about this
oh
now
yeah.
because that sounds exciting. I'm gonna have to go over there
It's
and
super
support.
cool. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I love going to Boston as well.
It's great. It's a great place. And there's you can still get free tickets for using code Evolving MB. And
Oh,
so
you heard that, guys,
yeah,
right?
Evolving MB.
Involving MB. I'll make sure I put that down below. Don't worry. Don't worry.
And so last year I was on the inspiration stage speaking about my story and the work that I'm doing. And this year I'm actually part of a panel that we're talking about mental health in the outdoors,
Wow.
which is spot on.
Exactly what you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I've got some pretty cool people that I'm on with. And it's just a chat. And we're going to turn it out to the audience too to ask questions and to chat with us about mental health in the outdoors. And so I'm like
Mm,
super excited. And I'm also going to have a booth there for my business, Evolving Mind and Body.
yes.
And where I'll also be raffling off a one-to-one experience with me,
Mm,
where you get to go and do the thing that we're going to be talking about in a little bit.
all
So
right.
that's very cool.
That is
And
very
I
cool.
have an app that is now downloadable. And
Oh,
so
okay.
it's got a free portion as well as a membership portion, plus some 6-week self-guided programs in it. So all
Nice.
of that, it's been a big year
That's
already.
a great. That's a great year already.
A
Yeah.
great
I
year.
always have my months with an affirmation. So like this month is the month of opportunities. So
Mm,
opportunities is
yeah,
just coming your way. And
absolutely.
hey, I'm definitely grateful for the fact that you're able to have those opportunities.
Same. Thank
Yeah. And so the app, so if people wanted to download the
Oh
app,
yeah, right on Apple and Google.
okay, and
Yeah.
what would they search up?
Yep, Evolving Mind and Body.
Involving mind and body. And what does it look like?
It's my logo. So it's a circle, greens and tan kind of colors, and it's EMB across like in a diagonal. I think it's the only one that pops up. Just
Okay.
saying.
Cool. And how long did it take you to put that app together? That's awesome.
Um,
That's big news.
Yeah, it is. It's huge. And so it hasn't taken all that long. The platform that I'm using is very user friendly, so that's been helpful.
Nice.
The work is the content, right? Like
Mhm.
creating the content, spending hours in my basement doing the work, making videos, making Canva.
Canva be working. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So like just cranking out any kind of time that I have this downtime, I'm like, I'll make a worksheet now.
Mhm.
Oh, I'll make a journal prompt. Oh, I'll do this. It's like,
Right.
okay. I'm a very creative person anyways, so that just kind of is like, and I love sharing information. So this is just a way for me to be like, here's all the things that I've collected. Take it.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what we need to be able to do,
Yeah.
right? Like, in this mental health space, we need to be able to use these resources and use them as its resource, right?
Yeah.
It's not a resource if we don't use it and give it to the next person.
Exactly.
If we keep it to ourselves and gatekeeping, then it's kind of like preventing anyone else to grow. So it's all about evolving,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, before we even go more into your approach, because I love it and I really can't wait for you guys to hear on her approach. The other card,
we had the other
the
card.
other
Yeah.
card coincides with everything.
Oh
So.
yeah, because whenever I pulled this one, you immediately had a response to it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I
it
did.
resonated well with you.
Yeah.
So was where there is a will, there is a way.
And I be saying that all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, me and my
there's a
best
will,
friend.
there is a way.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And I know you was asking me about, okay, what does that mean to me? And I responded with saying that, your will is the thought that you give yourself. And with that thought, it's real enough that you're able to take that opportunity and make it real.
Yeah.
So when you have that will, that thought, then there's a way of getting it done.
Yeah.
Right? And what does it mean for you? I feel like I didn't ask you
Oh
yet.
yeah, for me, I was like, it's very similar, right? Like if it is my intention, it's the 1,000 miles begins with a single step, right? It's like,
Mhm.
what is the one thing I can do today
Right.
that moves me forward? And after I finish that, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And they just amplify each other and they build. You can't get to the roof by jumping from the ground, right? Like you put the ladder up and if you only put 2 rungs on it, that's gonna be very hard.
Mm.
But if you put in all these different rungs up the ladder to get to the roof, then it feels doable, accessible. It's like, oh, I can do that. If I just focus on this one step, I can get there. And
Mm.
so the way that it might develop might change over the course of time, depending on what opportunities were presented and what challenges arise up. But it doesn't mean that our destination has necessarily changed.
Mm.
It's like the GPS of life, right? It's like it doesn't yell at you whenever you've gone a different direction because you're like, I know which way to go.
Yeah.
I got this.
Right.
Right? It doesn't do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't go, you better like get back on the road. It doesn't do that. It says recalculating,
Mm-hmm.
rerouting. Because that's what we do. We get a chance to
Mm.
reroute at any point in time when we're like, that actually didn't get me to where I thought I needed to go. So I'm going to recalculate. I'm going to reroute and I'm going to get back on course. And I feel like that's really chiming into that card.
Yeah, no, that is a good way to put it too. Yeah. I think a lot of times we get so frustrated with wanting to reach a goal and reaching that goal, we want it to be
Done.
quick, done, right? And what happens is that trying to enjoy it is the best way that you can enjoy then its outcome. And that goes back to, how it resonates with me just because I was thinking about it the other day that I need to be more appreciative of the moment because when things happen so fast, then you can't enjoy it. It's almost like eating food, right?
Yeah.
If I just eat food real quick, I can't enjoy it. But when something tastes good, you want to eat it slower.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, this tastes really good. Whatever it may be, it's almost the same thing, right?
Savor it.
Yeah, savor it. So savoring every moment is something that I've been trying to do more of because I'm just appreciative enough that I have a card game, right? I have a podcast. I have the chance to have people like yourself to come on and just talk about mental health and empower a community where we can all feel whole again, right? That's what we all want, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's so hard to do that, but when we could do it together, that's what makes it so much easier, right? And each person is that next step to your goal, and that's how I would look at it.
Yeah,
See,
absolutely,
this just
absolutely.
works full circle.
Yeah.
I love
And
it.
then we were talking about how these cards really are connected together, right? It's like
Mhm.
when where there's a will, there's a way, because then I can celebrate my win.
Yeah. That's just like the end goal, right? I
Right.
love it here, right?
Exactly.
And mind you, there's
Exactly.
so many other cards. It could have been any other card.
Right.
It could have been any other mixture, but these two both resonate in many ways,
Yeah.
especially like recently.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I would definitely want to ask about, you know, for the way that it led to where you're at right now, the willingness,
Mm.
right? You see how I'm trying to use the cards here.
Mhm.
What led you going into mental health? I think there's many reasons why people go into mental health, and sometimes it's not even a holistic approach, right?
Yep.
But at least were you anticipating in getting into mental health?
I feel like as a kid, even like people tended to come to me for things of like, here, let me tell you my stuff. Let me tell you my stuff. And like, because I've always been the kid that kind of like, as you and I were talking earlier, like I have ideas
Mm,
and I have like ways of thinking about things that people might not necessarily think about them. Like, well, did you think about this way? And they're like, oh no, right? Like we just had that conversation and like, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll consider that. Great. I don't, whatever you do is your choice,
mhm,
but here's another way of looking at it. And that just has always kind of been my personality. And then, life happens and then
mm,
you're experience your own shit.
mhm,
And then
yeah.
and then there's, um just a multitude of things that just continue to solidify that this is where I needed to be and needed my journey to be. And it just was in such alignment for myself. I love to learn. So I
Love it.
frequently dive into something. I don't step gently into the pool. I am on the 30-foot high dive. Let's go. In real life, no.
Yeah, right.
But in learning, yes. We went to grad school here at AIC, and then afterwards was working in a variety of places. And even before that, I've lived in a few different places, so I've kind of just collected these different experiences and stuff. And then um I got interested in my friend's like, "Hey, have you ever done Reiki?" I'm like, "I don't even know what that is." And she's like, "Well, I'm going to go take a course." I was like, "Cool." I signed up for the course. She didn't. So I went by myself and learned to be a Reiki master. I was like, "Okay, I'm doing this thing that I've never even heard of."
Yeah.
And so for you that don't know what Reiki is, it's a Japanese art of energy healing, and it's a light hand touch, and it's all about moving energy through your chakras and clearing, like we were talking about, like the abundance in life, like there's blockages to your abundance, and so
Mhm,
like this is that energetic clearing to that.
mhm,
um and then I was like, I've always loved fitness, and so I went and became a CrossFit level 1 instructor without having ever stepped in foot uh inside of a CrossFit gym. I was
mhm.
like, let me go do this thing, it sounds really cool, I love their community vibe. And then so I went and did that, and then I found a CrossFit gym to start going to. I'm not a coach there, but I do use the skills that I learned there in my own practice. And then the other piece is through endurance events. I started getting into like OCR racing, which is obstacle course racing through like Spartan
Yeah.
and Go Ruck and Tough Mudder. Like, actually, I've never done Tough Mudder. I've done Savage Race, Rugged Maniac, and I think a couple other ones. I don't remember. And
There's a
but
couple.
yeah, there's a few, right? And so Spartan also has this event called the Agogi, which is a 60-hour event plus, and over about 70 miles of trekking
Hmm.
with weighted backpack because you're carrying all your stuff. And I had no intention of doing this. My husband at the time was like, we should sign up for this thing. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And so I was like, and then I looked at it. I was like,
Yeah.
"Yay, I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
And then I sat with it, and I was like, "But why am I not doing it?
Hmm.
What fear is arising in me to keep me away from doing this thing?
Hmm.
That's just a thing to do."
Right. And I remember sometimes the things that you are feared of are the next step in
Mm-hmm.
order to elevate.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm like, what about this do I think that I actually can't do?
Mm.
I'm like, I can walk. I can carry heavy things.
Yeah.
I can be with people. Like
Yeah.
I like nature. And
Yeah.
like this checks a lot of boxes for me. So like what am I afraid of? And I was afraid because my body previous years had really demonstrated to me that it was failing
Mm,
in some ways, and I air quoted that because it wasn't truly failure. It just was not in my cards.
mm,
And we had had some infertility issues, we had
mm,
had a loss, we had had different things, and I felt they were very much my fault, right?
mm,
So it's like I was holding all of that.
right.
And then, so this was at a time where I'm like, I need to re engage with my own body in a different way
Mm,
and feel supported by myself.
right.
And so my why became my kid,
Mm,
and made a little thing and carried her in my backpack, even though she was miles away.
yeah.
And so I'm in this event and there's no sleep. It's 60 plus hours of no sleep, like 10 minutes of sleep total. So there's delusions happening. There's, body aches. Ended up losing all my toenails. Like it was intense,
What?
intense.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sounds
it
rigorous.
was very much so. But in the whole time I'm talking to people and I'm hearing their stories about why they're there. I'm helping other people carry their rocks. They're helping me carry mine. Where like I'm having to walk backwards with a guide down a mountain so my toes don't hurt. Like
Mm.
all these weird things that I would never do. Do a burpee mile. Who wants to do
A
that?
burpee mile?
Yeah. So we
Oh
would do
my.
a burpee and then jump, and then you did that for a mile.
Wow.
Yeah, we had to carry these kayaks that were covered in petroleum jelly. Yeah, there was a
What?
reason that they were covered that way. Like, had we been more mindful about that approach, like we could have used the petroleum jelly to like put it on a sock and like use it as a flame starter, fire starter later on. None of us thought of that because we're
Wow.
all hyped up in the moment, like, oh my God, we gotta carry these slippery things.
Yeah.
But there was purpose behind what they were teaching us.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's purposed for
Oh
that.
yeah. So it's like, but now with the reflection, then you gain that insight, and it's something I'll never forget now, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, you've taught me, and I've learned the lessons about my body. So during that event, I came to a thought. I was like, I can do this. I can do this for work in a way that's way more gentle. For
Mm-hmm.
just your average person that's kind of fed up with the traditional kind of approaches to things, is really ready for a change, is ready for like warp speed change, because that's what it does. And bringing nature, bringing in energy, bringing in mindfulness, journaling, writing, carrying something that's heavy, being thrown an obstacle that you're not expecting, having to figure it out, and being with all of that
Mm-hmm.
while you're being guided through it. Because there's guidance, but like it was a big group. So there wasn't like one-to-one guidance in that same way. But like in my approach, I walk with you one to one or in a small group where we are connected about like, what are you dealing with? How can we shift your perspective about life?
Mm,
What, like, let's get really close to this tree and start, and like, what do you notice? And as you step back, now what do you notice? And as you
mm,
step further back, what do you notice? And as you step really far back, what do you notice? And then we go away from the tree, we can take walking. And it's like, where's the tree that you were just at? And you can't even find it,
mm.
right? It's like whenever we're in it, we're so in it.
Right.
But then the further we get away from it, we lose sight of it.
Hmm.
It's like,
Wow. I love
right? So
that.
like
Yeah.
that's like an example of like something that I do with people every day.
Wow, that is so awesome. With all that you've learned, you
Yeah.
implemented all that you learned into this practice that you
Yeah.
do. And I want to also go with the first one because I'm pretty sure there's people that are listening that got interest with the Reiki, right?
Yeah.
Is that also implemented
Oh
with
yeah.
what you do now with that approach with,
Yeah.
bringing people and holding,
Oh
rocks in
yeah.
their back? For energy and chakras, I think that's probably the first question most people might have. So when it
Yeah.
comes to chakras, what are chakras?
Yeah,
Right.
they're the different points within your spine that are holding energy, and they each kind of correlate to different things, from your crown, which is the top of your head, down to your root, the base of your spine, which is your root. So like they're energy houses,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
so they can get blocked. Like if you're having a really hard time talking about something, like there's something that you just really need to say, but you just like get choked up and you just don't know how to do it, like
Mhm.
your throat chakra might be blocked. You might be
Mm.
like, just can't
Right.
speak it. And so that's the work I do, is like helping people remove that blockage. And how do you speak about it? How do you like work through that energetically?
Mhm.
um
So we have how
Yeah.
many chakras?
7.
We have 7 chakras. So the first one is our lower chakra,
Yep.
right? Is our
Yep.
root chakra.
Yep.
Then our next chakra
We
is.
got solar plexus and sacral. Oh my gosh, you're gonna challenge me off the bat. Okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
There is a.
Sometimes I'm like, I go from the top to the
You
bottom to
could
the
do
right,
each
right.
order.
And then so we got the heart, throat, third eye, crown.
Yes. Yes.
Put them in order.
There you go. Okay. So it sounds like with each chakra, right, there's something different that you have to work on in order to unlock or unblock that passageway.
Correct.
So if let's say sacral, right, is there something that you do particularly like physically, or is it more of like, how does that work?
So for me, like during an actual Reiki session, I offer 2 different kinds of Reiki sessions. So in person or a virtual. Like virtual one, you could just be going about your entire day doing your own thing, or you can like schedule some time that you're like, I'm gonna lay down and we're gonna do this kind of collectively. But like yesterday, I had 3 virtual sessions and they weren't with me and they were just doing their thing and they had no idea that was going on. And then afterwards, I was like, so I finished your session, like, knew something was different.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's more about that energetic connection, right? Like we all do that. We all are energy readers. I mean, we know the times where you've walked into a room and you can tell they've just been fighting. You
Right.
can feel the tension. No one's saying anything, but you know.
Yeah.
Right. And then, or you walked into a room and you're like, oh my God, they were just so happy in here. I hate that I missed that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, what were they so happy about? Because you can feel it. You can feel that energy. You can feel that energy with your friends, your family, with strangers, with people passing you in the car, even. Like you're like, oh,
Yeah.
right? So, and
That
some people,
demeanor, right?
right?
And that
Yeah.
energy, and you
Yeah.
get the vibe.
You get the vibe for sure. And some people are way more tuned into this than others. And but we all have energy. And
Totally agree.
so that's a part of like being laying down in person. I go through like each energy field and I work on like, if I notice about whether or not they're closed or open, and then I use a pendulum for that. So it's really cool.
Is that
It's
like.
like, yeah, it's a crystal or a stone on a chain. And
Yeah.
so I asked the chain, and people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, this is so woo woo," and I'm like, "It's fine. There is science behind it too." So, but I will ask like, which way is Angel's chakras closed, and it'll move in a either clockwise or counterclockwise way, and then I will go over your body in that like, and it'll rotate in different directions based on which is open and closed for you. What is very cool though is whenever if someone is injured and they haven't told me about it, the pendulum will vibrate. It won't circle in either direction. It'll just sway in a vibration, and the more amplified the sway, the bigger the injury typically is. Um so that's a part where I end up like spending a lot of time because I'm helping break down like that the energy that's there to collected to help break down whatever inflammation's going on or ailment. And then at the end I do another like pendulum sweep to see like, is this, and I always ask the pendulum again, like, show me which way the chakras are open.
Yeah.
And because sometimes it's the same direction, and which is really weird and I don't understand that, but so usually it's the opposite direction. So then I go back through the body and do that. And
Interesting.
yeah, and then I always do a card pull with people afterwards, and we talk about that. And then so for me personally, like I see a lot of colors within Reiki. Like I close my eyes and I will visualize like all these different colors. And sometimes there's like shapes or figures or those kind of things. And I've had people like, I don't ever tell people what I see first. I have other people tell me like, what was your experience? And so they'll describe their experience. And sometimes it's very much in line with what I've also experienced, or they're like telling me this thing. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense because I was seeing this. And like, oh, okay. Or, and then I'll tell them about what my experience was. And they're like, oh yeah, my grandfather actually it was his anniversary of his death. And that's that figure that you saw. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. That's why he was fishing. He loved fishing, like,
Yeah.
um,
I like that approach
yeah,
too, because sometimes, like, a lot of times, let's say, for example, people might feel woo woo about palm reading, right?
yeah,
And of course, there's some people who might not do it as right as others, right? The same thing, you could go to one doctor and maybe they're not as good as another. So
absolutely.
I think it's being open minded to such
Yeah.
thing. And mind you, I've never even heard about the crystal and how
Yeah.
that works, so I'm interested in that myself. And I think it's good to be able to say, oh, what was you feeling
Right.
first? And then you can match that with what you was feeling rather than imposing, and then probably like almost taken away from what actually was meant for it,
Yeah.
because sometimes when you impose something, it takes away what they were actually feeling,
Exactly.
when more importantly you need to see what they were feeling rather than what you were thinking
Right.
that it was.
Yeah, and then like I've had one particular woman that she sticks out in my mind because it was just such a powerful session, and it this is a trigger warning, by the way. So there we did a session. I know her, but I don't know her well. And I didn't know her story or anything. And so we did the whole session and everything. And I was like, I have no way of asking this question other just to ask it, And she's like, okay,
Hmm.
like prepared, right?
Yeah, right.
And I was like, were you sexually abused as a child?
Hmm.
And she's like, yeah,
Hmm.
I've never told anyone that. I was like, you're holding it and I can feel it.
Hmm.
And if you have a therapist, I would suggest that you go and process that because that's blocking you from
Hmm.
you're still carrying it.
Right.
So um that's an extreme kind of setting. Like I've had other people that like one of them there like the vibrating kind of thing happened like right around his knees and I was like, what's going on with your knees? He's like, I just pulled it the other day. I was like, okay, well, I tried to break some of that up for you. Like,
Yeah.
like, because I'm not getting like this full detailed health report before we start. It's just like come in and have some trust and openness.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I love that you say that too, because I think when it comes to your physical body, that actually is an antenna
Mm-hmm.
to the spiritual realm, right? You
Yeah.
can say. And as I've probably mentioned many times on the podcast, like I think being open to the spirituality of things, right? The mentality of
Yeah.
things and the logic behind that, right? I
The
think there's
divine, the
yep,
universe,
everything. There's
spirit,
so
the
many things
gods,
to
whatever.
implement in
Hmm.
order to have one complete understanding of everything, right? So that's pretty interesting though. So like the stone, is that a particular type of stone?
I use one that is made of a snowflake obsidian because I
Ah,
that's just like a
snowflake
yeah, it's
obsidian.
beautiful. But it really is whatever pendulum calls to you as the practitioner. It's
Hmm.
like, and like I am learning more about crystals and those kind of things. Like because everything has energy, like
Right.
the sofa has
Yeah,
energy,
totally agree.
our
That's
clothes have
I
energy,
love
like
it.
all of
Yes.
it. And it's like people forget that that is true.
Hmm.
Um,
It's quantum physics.
right. That we're made of energy.
Yeah,
Like
like
that's literally it.
for real.
Um,
The sun gives us energy, and we
exactly.
are electromagnetic people.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And the sun is a whole nother story because the sun gets such a bad rap,
mm,
in regards to like everybody's about sunscreen. And yes, I understand the importance of sunscreen if you're going to be out in the sun for long durations
especially at
of
the
time,
beach, right?
right? Like, well, and even more so because we haven't trained our skin
That
to
too,
be
in the
in the
sun.
sun. But the sun is a purifier. The
Mm,
sun pulls out things that are in us,
mm,
so we need the sun. We need vitamin D. We need melatonin. We need these things that are created through being in the sun. So even like cracking your window as you drive allows for there to be the UV rays, no sunglasses,
mm-hmm.
because sun needs to go through your eyes,
Yes.
and then at least 10 minutes a day
Yeah.
at the very least. And if you can do it like first thing in the morning when you wake up and before the sun goes down, great, because that helps set your circadian rhythm. It
Yeah.
helps create melatonin,
Yes.
where we are so reliant on the melatonin supplement now, which is
Mm-hmm.
just
Like the
not great.
gummies, and it's
Yeah,
like we understand why you might, but you
right.
need to also understand that what you're putting so much more attention to,
Yeah,
you're saying yes to this and saying no to something else.
right. Which is an easy free fix.
Yeah, it's holistic. It's given to you. It's free. You don't have to
Exactly.
go
You
to the
don't
store,
have to. You
and you have
can
to.
walk
It's like
outside.
what you said. You had to train your body for
Yeah.
that, and that all comes with also the back burner of being intentional of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so whenever people are like, "Oh, but the sun causes cancer." The sun doesn't cause cancer. The sun pulls cancer
Mm.
out to the
Mm.
surface. So it is purifying cancer cells and bringing them to the surface.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's why, it goes on the skin and it's called skin cancer
Hmm.
because of the sun, but
Yep.
it's more pulling out.
Yeah. So it's
Huh.
been somewhere else in the body and it's being pulled out to the surface.
Do you know any more scientific of how does that do that?
It's related to like all, like what we were talking about before, like the electromagnetic fields and all that stuff. It's
Mm.
like that's the purpose of the sun. Like it pulls, like in nature with plants and stuff, it pulls out and
Yeah.
purifies.
Photosynthesis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so like it also, with that's why we sweat. We are being pulling
Yep.
out the
Yeah.
toxins.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. That makes absolute sense. I love it. I love it here. You see, this is the reason why I love people like yourself coming on the podcast, because not only that everybody that's listening, you guys, you're learning too, but I'm also learning and I love learning too. So high five for learning.
Love learning.
That's so awesome. So going back full circle to, your practice and
Yeah.
stuff. So is it typically you do the Reiki first and then you kind of go with that and see how you can start their journey, right? Because you need to know that first step.
No, I am very much of like, it's the individual journey.
Mm,
So some people are going to be like, I don't want to do that. That has no interest to me. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
mm,
Don't have to do that. It is an option for you, right?
right.
Therapeutic rocking is currently being trademark pending, and it is,
Nice.
yeah. So it is my signature system where I take people out. You provide your own gear because I want it to be comfortable to you. I don't want you to be like, oh, this doesn't fit right. Like you bring your stuff. So, and it also helps you prepare for
Mm,
things. So it's like, it's a backpack that you're going to choose what weight you put in it. If that's just your supplies, fine. But I would love for you to challenge yourself with even putting 5 pounds extra in it. You think like, oh my God, 5 pounds. Wow. That's a bag of sugar. Like most of us, like a lot of people are carrying backpacks already, or carrying purses or briefcases or children or
mm,
groceries. Like you're already doing this. And I know you are capable of doing this. It's just your mind is putting in a limitation and a block for you.
mm.
It's because like, oh, you're going to make me do this thing. It's like, I'm not, this is an active choice. You're choosing to do this. And I'm asking you to consider to make it more challenging.
Yeah, the considering is considering yourself because this
Exactly.
is for you and
Right.
to understand the representation of what this practice is going to
Yeah,
be about.
absolutely. So the backpack, the importance of that is that we are all carrying backpacks. You have one right now. I
Hmm.
have one on right now. Can't see it, but you have it.
Hmm.
And it's like it's all that stuff that we've put in and we've packed away and we don't deal with every day. And we're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna put it in there.
Yep.
Just gonna stuff it down,
Yeah.
squish it down. Can it fit anymore? And you're like, sometimes the zipper is bulging, and then sometimes it's like, wow, this actually feels kind of light today.
Hmm.
It's like, and every day we wake up with a different kind of amount of that weight on us. And so then I ask people to come and be in nature. And so many of us are spending, I think the estimate right now currently is like 98% of our day is spent inside.
Nice.
That's absurd.
Oh, no, that's not nice. I thought you was
That's
going to say 98% of the people are outside,
No,
but inside,
inside.
that's terrible.
That's terrible because you're literally waking up inside.
Hmm.
You get in your car, which is inside and enclosed for
Yep.
most people.
Yep.
Then you walk into a building, either work or school or another home or whatever,
Yep.
where you're inside for another 6 to 8 hours. Then you get on your next form of transportation, bus, car, whatever, inside. And then you go back into your home inside,
That's so
or
true.
then you
Yeah.
go to the gym
Inside.
inside.
Right.
Like, so everything about our culture is relatively about being indoors. And so, like, being able to, and so there's now a fear of the outdoors,
Mm.
a fear of natural spaces.
Hmm.
It's like, because we're so disconnected from it.
Yeah.
And the more that we disconnect ourselves from nature, the more we're disconnecting from
From
ourselves.
ourselves. Yes. Yes. I
Because
be
we
saying,
are nature.
yes. I be saying this. Full circle moment. Full circle moment. Go ahead. Go ahead. But yeah, I
Good.
totally
I
agree.
love that.
Yeah, because everything that's on the outside is also representing on
Yeah,
the inside.
absolutely.
And that
We
kind of
are
goes,
water.
yeah. We're like, what, 70%?
Yeah, more than that.
Probably, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, oh my God, yeah, I wish.
We are water. We are plant.
Mhm.
We need soil and earth and fire. We need warmth, right? We need heat. We need water. We need salt. We need these things.
Yeah,
And so we are plants.
yeah.
Like,
We're
We
like
need to be out there.
we are a conjunction of everything, right?
Yeah.
Like the carbon, we have carbon,
Yes.
we have iron, there's iron, right?
Yeah.
Everything is a representation. The air is something that we need. We breathe out carbon
Yeah.
the same way that, the opposite of plants,
Yeah.
they breathe in carbon and
Yeah.
they recycle that. And it's just a
Exactly.
full cycle. And that's
Exactly.
what we breathe in is
Yeah.
pretty much the plants,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Essentially.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why we have to learn about the sustainability of our environment and our
Absolutely.
community, and how can we implement of going outdoors. And I
Yeah.
love going for walks,
Yes.
hikes all day, all
Yeah.
day. I love going for
Same.
hikes all the
Same.
time.
Especially where there's water. I love
Yes.
places where there's water.
Yeah, like I think in Holyoke was it Ashley Reservoir.
Mm.
I love that. It's like almost like a pendula in a
Yeah.
sense, but
Yeah.
it's like a whole bridge.
It's beautiful there.
It's really nice over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
What would you say is something that someone should do first thing to be more connected with nature, right? I heard a lot about grounding.
Oh yeah, I love grounding. A simple thing, even though, is roll down your window while you're driving. The UV rays of the sun cannot get through windows or our sunglasses. So just as simple as rolling down your window, even part way, even while you have your heat on in your car, roll down the window
Mm,
so that you can get the sun rays on your face.
right.
A simple walk outside, sleeves up, face the sun, barefoot, even better. So
Mhm.
the earth has electromagnetic waves in it.
Yep.
So putting your bare feet to the earth literally resets your nervous system. So if
Mm,
you're feeling anxious or you're feeling depressed or you're feeling any of those things that are a full range of emotional spectrums, which you know um, I'm really trying to move away from diagnoses of things, because it's like, yeah, we all have moments where we feel more sad. All have moments where we feel more anxious about things. All of these things, there is a maladaptive point for sure, and that
mm,
is a whole nother level.
right.
But if you're at a space where you're like, even if you're not at this space, but if you're at a space where you're like, okay, all I got to do is get out of bed today. I got to walk outside. I'm going to put my feet to the ground. You're already going to feel better because you have natural, fresh air. You have some form of UV coming through you, even if it's a cloudy day. You are connected barefoot to the earth because the rubber on our shoes prevents that from happening.
Hmm.
So take off the shoes. Even if you're don't like if you're like, I don't want to put my bare feet, I want to put my socked feet. Fine. You're
Yeah.
still better off.
Hmm.
Um, so those things are very simple. And just stand there in a power pose with your hands on your hips, or your hands up above your head, allowing in for all of that connection, or stand with your hands on your heart, and breathe. Breathing is such a great free resource
Yeah, right.
for
We breathe
parents.
so much
We
we don't.
breathe, yeah.
Yeah, we breathe so much we don't think about it at
Yeah,
this point, right? We
exactly.
don't
Because
appreciate it.
right, because it is it is the only system in our body that is both voluntary and involuntary.
Mm,
And so it's taken for granted in that way. And it's directly connected to your parasympathetic nervous system, which is
mm,
your relax, digest, restore system.
yeah.
And so whenever you are able to control your breath, then you are instantly going to feel better. And so, a very easy technique that you can do is called box breathing,
Hmm.
which is breathing in for 4, holding for
For four
4,
and letting
breathing
go
out for
for four.
4, holding for 4. And you can
Yep.
imagine
Keep doing
drawing a
that.
box. You can count it out on your fingers. You
Hmm.
could draw a box on a piece of paper and trace it while you're doing it. You
Hmm.
can do none of that and just do the thing and count in your head. But that is a super simple one to start with if you know nothing about breath work.
Hmm.
And another super simple breath work technique is to breathe in for 4 and breathe out for 8.
Hmm.
So
Slow yourself
inhaling
down more. Hmm.
and a super slow exhale. And to do that for like 3 to 5 cycles. And if you pair that with being outside,
Mm.
yeah, you're going to feel so much better.
Yeah. I think sometimes people doubt stuff like that. And I think, of course, if you go in with anything with the mindset of it not working, then it won't
Right.
work. Right. So you have to be open with doing
Yeah.
these things. I think when I first, was starting everything in the understanding of like mental health, like especially with what you eat and all these other things,
Hmm.
I used to like, that's what is that? That makes no sense, right? But I think after I took the initiative and was more intentional about like, let me just try it and being open to it, not judging that it's already not going to work without
Yeah.
even trying it,
Right.
but going in like, hey, I don't know. Let me just check. right? Not thinking that I'm gonna go in there and it's gonna work, but just going in there and be like, let me just try and let me see how I feel about it. And wanting to heal is the first step of healing. I
Yes.
think we think that, oh, I'm hurting inside or I'm going through pain, if it's physically, emotionally, mentally, whichever you can call it. I think we think if we do something that is gonna help us, it's just gonna help us.
Right.
But the consistency of doing that, the
Practice.
intention of doing it, right? Like, oh, I'm doing this because I want to feel better. I want to be connected,
Yeah.
right? And as many times as I put my foot in the ground, and of course, we're not saying put your feet on the ground now because it's winter over here
Icy.
in Western Mass, right? Because I've tried it before, like before there was snow on the ground. I'm like, oh my God, it's really cold. Oh my God. But
But there's pieces of that too. That's an instant re-regulation as well. Like
mhm,
there's pieces of cold therapy. Like even going to your freezer and taking out a bag of frozen peas or an ice pack and putting it on the back of your neck. That connects to the base of your spine or the top of your spine, which is the piece of where the vagus nerve starts. So
mm,
the vagus nerve runs from your brain down to your gut and your gut
hmm,
to your brain. So it is that connection between those two entities. This
hmm,
is why gut health and brain health for mental health is very important. They are connected. So when
absolutely.
people are like, I've got a stomach ache. I'm like, okay, well, do you actually have a stomach ache or are you nervous about something?
Hmm,
So let's talk about like what's going on in your life,
hmm,
right? Because when people's gut health gets a little askew, then their mental health gets askew. They are
hmm,
directly correlated to each other.
hmm,
And so, like being able, you talked about food, and so I'd love to touch on that for a moment if we
yeah.
could. It's like, it's not just about food; it's about all the things we consume, right?
Hmm,
It's about the media we consume. It's about the people we are around and surrounded by because we consume their energy.
hmm,
It's about and their ideas, right? It's about what kind of books am I reading? What kind of art am I consuming? What kind of things am I being creative with? What type of hobbies am I
huh.
consuming? Like
I love it.
what all are all the different ways that I consume information, consume energy, and energy is food and
Hmm,
food is energy.
hmm.
And so that's part of it, but it's not all of it.
Right. I love it. I love it so much. I just love it so much. And as you were mentioning, like even to clarify even more to everyone that's listening is, if our brain is connected with our gut
Mhm.
and what we eat, right,
Mhm.
physically for
Yep.
our gut is one thing, also what we eat for our brain, right? Like
Yeah,
what we're consuming with our brain. So
absolutely.
that's just to say that if you can eat for your stomach,
Yep.
then you can also eat for your brain.
Yeah,
And that's with
absolutely.
the knowledge that you do for
Yeah.
yourself, the people that you're around, and those mannerisms you might
Yeah.
end up getting, right? Because that automatically happens, right?
Mhm.
I was just also thinking about how there's studies that show when you are around certain people, there is a way where like you kind of almost shapeshift in a
Mm.
way. Not like exactly where I'm automatically like them, get their colored
Yeah,
eyes
yeah.
and stuff, but it's essentially like where you might see couples, right?
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, you guys look like your brother and sister. And that
Yep.
what happens is that when you're with someone for so long, you almost start looking like them.
Mhm.
And there's studies that show that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and like in thinking about too is like we want to be around people that amplify us,
Hmm.
right? And the more that you're around people that amplify you and you amplify them, that feels good. If you're choosing to spend time with people that are draining you, that you feel like, ugh, that was
Hmm.
so heavy being with them,
Yeah.
right? You feel that for a much longer time.
Hmm.
You know the difference whenever you're spending time with people that are you're like, ah, I feel
Yeah, yeah,
good,
it's like I was with them for like 3 hours,
right?
but I feel like I can keep
Yeah.
going. I've had those,
And then you
yeah.
have the other people like 5 minutes was way too long.
Hmm. Yeah, like you can even say it with family members, right?
Yeah,
Like especially around
yeah,
Thanksgiving
yeah,
and or holidays in general,
yeah,
there might be someone in your family you might feel like, oh, this is a lot.
yeah.
And take it for the grain of salt. Also, your family, you might see them a lot, which is totally understandable. But it's
Yep,
still the simple fact of understanding that,
yep.
when you're around someone, you can feel drained.
Right,
And where does that
absolutely.
come from? Because you didn't actually do anything physical,
Right.
but you did something emotional, mental, or
Mhm.
we can also say
It's that
spiritual.
energetic,
Yeah.
right? It's that energetic sharing, right? So I think about relationships in a way of like Venn diagrams.
Mm.
And so it's
Yeah.
like you and I have our own special Venn diagram happening right now where like we have our own separate things, but we also have this commonality,
Mhm.
right? And if we added in your girlfriend back into the picture, like our Venn
Mhm.
diagram would shift a little bit. But
Yeah.
if you remove from the picture, she and I would have our own Venn diagram about the things
Right.
we connect through. And that is just constantly happening. And with the more people that you're adding in, it doesn't stay in this linear phase anymore. It like starts to build up on top because some people are like, oh no, this is on top of this and this is on top of this, right? And
Yep.
like And so we all have that happening, and so that's when family dynamics are weird and shifty, right? It's like because you feel like, oh, our whole family is together, and look at all these dynamics. Remove one person, and the whole thing shifts.
Yep.
Remove another person, and the whole thing shifts again. It's like, huh, okay.
Yeah.
You're like, I can be with my uncle and his wife, but add their kid in, and oh my god,
Right.
right?
And it's almost going to, like, I think, and I love how we're going from, the individuality of ourselves and how we can recharge from ourselves with energetics and the
Therapeutic
procedure
procedures,
with, yeah, with doing it with
yeah,
Reiki. I was also trying to make sure I didn't say that right.
yeah, you're good.
Or say it right, yeah. And what happens is that when it comes into understanding yourself, that's when it goes into the relationship component,
Mhm.
right? The intra and then the interpersonal
Yeah.
relationships that we do. And it made me think about when it comes to relationships, we always compare, right?
Mhm.
We're like Venn diagrams, right? There's a compare and then there's something that we could come to pair,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's the other aspect that we should allow ourselves to have.
Yeah.
The ability to come together
Yeah.
and be like how we are pairing together
Yeah.
rather than always comparing with each
Have
other.
you I know you do work within this field as well. So
Mm.
have you ever done like the come to the line routine or
Come to the line
oh
routine.
yeah. So have you
No.
no oh exercise. So it's very cool. It's like it's just a series of questions. You start with something really easy like I like blue, whatever. I like chocolate, something super and you get more depth
Interesting.
questions of like um I've been bullied or I've been in a fight or I've experienced sexual assault or I've like whatever. It doesn't matter what the questions are, but they get more intense as you go through. And you have a line just down the middle of the room and like people step to
Oh,
it.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I've
So
seen that.
and so
Yep.
it's amazing like how much people have in common and they have no idea that they have in common, right? This is where we talk about the backpack again. It's like all this stuff that people are carrying with them every single day because it's their experiences, it's their lived experiences.
Mhm.
And they're not talking about it. And they're not
Yeah.
talking about it for whatever reason they're not talking about it. Like I've got a gazillion stories I could continue to tell you about all my life stuff, but
Yeah.
like we'd be here all day and then some.
And that's what I love about
Yeah.
conversations like this because I think it's about not only that there's so much to talk about, but it's relevant, right?
Yeah.
It's authentic and it's
Yeah.
realistic to the
Right.
point of knowing that, this is something that everybody is dealing with and it's just about the approach that you do it, right? It's
Exactly.
one thing to, think about how it is, but then also about what you're doing with
Right.
that.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest point.
Yeah.
It also reminded me too, I'm excited to do our segment.
Yeah.
If you're excited to do
Yeah.
the segment with me, it's
Let's
called
do it.
Rally Rapids.
Ready for
I
it.
got some I got some words for you that I'm
Okay.
gonna give you. You don't have to step
All
up for
right.
it, but so
We'll see.
this is called Rally Rapids. I have 10 words, and with these 10 words, I'm gonna cue it to you, and you're
Okay.
gonna tell me the first word you're thinking
All
in your head.
right.
All right, so we got the first one. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so the first one is family.
Oh, my daughter.
My daughter. Love it. God bless. Number two, wellness.
Oh, holistic.
Mm, mm. I love it because that's what we were talking about
Yeah.
today. Yeah. Holistic. Communication.
Oh, important.
Mm. Secure.
Hmm. Abundant.
Love it. Spirituality.
Faith.
Faith is understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Love.
Passion.
Fiery.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Abundance.
Oh, back to the abundant part. Abundance. Freedom.
Freedom. I love it. Liberation.
Woo, these are all flowing in
I know, right?
together. It's like
Yeah.
play the cards. All right. I'm sorry. Give me that one again.
Liberation.
Liberation. Dreams.
Dreams. Yes, I like that one. Loyalty.
Ooh. Respect.
Respect. And respect means look again.
Mm.
By Latin definition
Mm.
means look again. Oh, I love it. And then the last one is leadership.
Oh, always.
Mm, always. Since this is the last one, what do you mean by always?
Everyone's a leader.
Enough said. Everybody is a leader. At the end of the day, what you do, there's the decision that you do. Even if it's bad or good, you're still being the leader of that direction.
I'm going to even challenge you to shift from bad to good to cause and effect.
Cause and
Because
effect.
it may be what your choice is, maybe good for you, maybe bad for me. So but it may have a different cause and effect for you versus cause and effect for me. So
I like that. I'm gonna start using that. Yeah, no, I like that perspective.
yeah,
And there is a cause and effect for everything, right?
everything.
And that's what the cause of what you're doing is what would affect you in the end, or
Hmm.
how it will affect you in the beginning and why you started.
Hmm.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, guys, I hope you guys got some gems from here because Andrea has some gems here, and I've learned so much from you. Like we were talking, like we can keep on going and
Oh, yeah.
learning more, and that's why like I
I think
can't
that
wait.
means I have to come back.
Yeah, why not? Why not? And then not only that, I definitely want to know about that event over in
Yeah,
Boston because
yeah,
I would love to support you if I
yeah,
can.
absolutely.
And yeah, is there anything that is coming up that you want to let everyone
Oh,
know before we go?
yeah. So I've got a lot of things happening right now with collaborations. One being that I'm pairing for Beyond the Mom Role, which
Mm,
is a creative writing experience. I'm pairing with Breathe to Empower, Sarah Kearns from there. We'll be hosting a 3-part series on the third Wednesday of the month from 10 to 11 at Common Ground in Wilbraham.
okay, that's up the street from
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
And so it's you get some time to ground, to write, to be in a space held by for other women or moms, and then that starts on March 19th.
Mm,
And so signups are happening now. Then I'm doing another collaboration with Heartwood Expeditions up
mm,
in Williamsburg, Mass,
mm,
and that one will be for mental health professionals actually.
mm.
And we're gonna be it's actually called Beyond the Office, where we're talking about how to incorporate nature and mindful practices into work with clients. So, like, if you would like to come, you're welcome to join that
Yeah,
one too.
yeah.
And then the third one I'm currently working on is Limitless, which is a therapeutic rucking experience where I'm pairing with Ample Access Outdoors. And we are going to be doing a bi weekly 6 session hiking experience where we are helping people learn more grounding tools to break down some of that limiting belief patterns and how you can really reach your own potential. And
Mm.
so those are my 3 big collaborations going on right now, in addition to my app, which is free for download. And all of this information is on my website, which is evolvingmindandbody.com. And I would love to connect. If there's people out here that are listening to this that want to connect, that want to just have a conversation, love talking.
Yes, I love it. And I'll make sure that all that information will be down below so that everybody that is listening, if it's on YouTube, that will all be down in the description. So it's easy access for you guys. And yeah, just to be able to elevate, to be able to be around positive energy. And with that positive energy, we can evolve, we can elevate, and we can rally together and do something that is a good cause for things, right?
Absolutely.
So yes, I absolutely love it. And there's probably gonna be a part 2 down the line and stuff. So and not only that, we're best friends now. We're
Yeah,
best friends
exactly.
now. And I have to
Happen.
try that Reiki that one
Oh
day.
yeah.
So like I'm
Oh yeah.
definitely interested in that.
Yeah.
There might be some blockages somewhere because my lower back, it could be that.
Yeah.
It could be that. But I definitely love like meditating and stuff
Yeah.
and unblocking it. And that comes with the mindset and intentionality of that. So that's so awesome. So yeah, guys.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
So
thank you for coming.
yeah,
Yes,
I
it's
love
such a
this.
pleasure. And I hope everybody that was listening really got something from this. Make sure that you leave a comment down below, like, subscribe. Make sure that you're following us on all platforms. If it's on Instagram, Apple Podcasts, to wherever you're listening. I just appreciate you and for your time. And until next time, you guys be easy. Peace.